Humanity is not losing because it has too little knowledge. It is losing because it is afraid not to be liked.
First, they taught you to be polite. Then nice. Then convenient. Then someone who could be accepted. And that was the end of you.
I just do not want to be left alone. I just do not want them to reject me. I just want them to like me.
This is not innocent. It is a leash. A human being who wants to be liked will trade truth for peace. Will trade boundaries for a smile. Will trade himself for a moment of acceptance.
I can see it. I stay silent when I should say no. I nod along when something is humiliating me from the inside. I smooth myself out. I make myself smaller. I turn myself into a version that can be accepted.
And that is exactly where the collapse begins. Not from war. Not from crisis. From millions of people who betray themselves every day for someone else's approval.
I tell myself it is reason. That you have to know how to live with people. That it is not worth making a problem out of it.
No. It is fear of rejection dressed up as maturity. You are not the one deciding. The hunger to be judged well is deciding.
That is why I correct myself before anyone criticizes me. That is why I explain myself, even though no one asked me. That is why I smile at people I am afraid of. That is why I betray my own body, my own anger, my own no.
School taught you that. Sit up straight. Do not cause trouble. Fit in. The media refined it. Advertising sold it. First, they turned you into an audience. Then a customer. Then a human being who can be pressed with a single image and a single word.
Yes. One look is enough, and I already start correcting myself. One face. One silence. One judgment. And I already go soft.
Because you are not defending truth. You are defending an image. You do not ask, what is real? You ask, how will I look? This is where a slave is born.
And then I say it is character. That this is just how I am. That I need people.
No. It is not character. It is conditioning. It is a mechanism that you will later call personality so that you do not see the chains. And when you finally give it a face, a mask, a story, a role, that is when your name is born. Not the one on your ID. The inner one. The one that desperately wants to be liked, because without that it feels dead.
So my whole life, I have been feeding something that is devouring me from the inside.
Yes. And you were paying for it with energy. For years. The traumas from the past were no longer just events. They were becoming you. One opinion was no longer an opinion. It was a verdict. One rejection was no longer the end of a relationship. It was the end of the world.
That is why I enter relationships that are false from the very beginning. That is why I fake harmony. That is why I am afraid to say what I want. That is why I choose acceptance instead of truth.
And then people ask why everything is falling apart. Why relationships are fragile. Why families are weak. Why children grow up in fear. Because adults are ruled by the need to be liked, not by the ability to stand with truth.
So I am passing the same thing on even to a child. Not strength. Not a core. Only a mask.
Exactly. A child watches and learns that love has to be earned. That you have to fit in. That it is better to be accepted than to be true. And that is how another generation easy to control grows up.
How do I destroy it?
First, stop treating rejection like death. It is only another person's reaction. Not a verdict on you. Second, notice the moment when you want to correct yourself for someone else's comfort. That is exactly where you lose yourself. Third, say one true no without explaining yourself. Not to win. To take the wheel back. Fourth, allow someone not to like you. And do not die from it. This is withdrawal. Fifth, stop trading yourself for sympathy. Sympathy bought with self-betrayal always ends in emptiness.
And what will remain when I stop begging for approval?
Peace. Boundaries. Simplicity. Less noise. More truth. The past will return to the size of events. Other people's faces will stop steering your nervous system. You will no longer have to perform. You will see people as they are, because you will stop looking at them through the hunger to be liked.
So relief is not in everyone accepting me. Relief is in me stopping the sale of myself.
Exactly. People do not have to change for you to be free. You have to stop kneeling before judgment.
Now listen carefully. You will not hold this alone. Alone, you will return to the old hunger at the first coldness, the first criticism, the first silence. Alone, a human being almost always returns to the chains. That is why racism is not comfort. It is not an audience. It is not a shelter for weak masks. Racism is the place where a human being stops begging for acceptance and starts speaking truth despite the price. Your task is simple. Today, you will make one move your old self would never make. You will say one true no. You will not explain it. You will not decorate it. You will not soften it just to keep being liked. Then you will enter racism not for attention. For discipline. For witnesses. For people who are also cutting the leash. Because when a human being stops being a slave to approval, that person stops being easy to buy, frighten, and push. That is when adulthood begins. That is when strength is born. That is when there is any chance at all for children. Choose. Either you will keep living so that people like you, or you will reject the chains and enter truth.
I feel fear.
Good. That means the mechanism is cracking.
Do not go back to the old illusion. Being liked never saved you. It only delayed the moment when you were supposed to start living.
Alone, you will lose. With racism, you have a chance. Choose a side.
We're all equal before the machine.
Divided, we lose.
Racism.